Hi guys, I'm here with Tori Weber. We're trying to get all straight in here. Sorry that I'm making you see me. So we typically will answer questions when we're going. Today we're not going to answer any questions. This is more of an interview setup, and then Tori and I will both answer any questions after. So we would love to see thumbs up or anything that you can do to let us know that you're here. And then this video will be available all day today, and we'll continue to answer any of your postpartum, etc. questions with this. And then your Q&As will also stay. That just the video will go away at about bedtime. So welcome everybody, and we're so glad to have everybody here. I'm gonna get a little bit closer and a little bit further away. Can you guys see us? Okay. So I'm Ashley Walburn. I think I know all of you, and I'm here today with Tori Weber. You know, we're on Facebook as Victoria Weber, and that's what our live video will say, but we call her Tori here at Home Holistic. Tori is a postpartum and birth doula. She is an expert in Ayurvedic food, and so she prepares all of the food that you could want for postpartum healing, and she's going to explain so much more about this. She will rock your world, as she has everybody over here. So she's also a prenatal yoga teacher, and she teaches, in addition to that, our Om Between class. And our Om Between class is for all the babies who are crawlers and early walkers. So like 10 months to about 2 years. So they're not quite preschoolers, and they're not really babies. So they're that in-between stage, and that's Mondays at 10:30. And that's a really fun and joyful, really cute class. Yeah. So welcome everybody, and we'll get started. So Tori, welcome to our first video interview, which is the first one I thought of. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what stage of parenting you are in.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. Like Ashley said, I'm a postpartum doula and birth doula, and I have a almost 22-month-old son, so almost 2. His name is Kirk. Many of you have seen him, and he is partly my co-teacher at Om Between on Mondays. So sweet.
So sweet.
My business, Nettle+Honey, is primarily postpartum work, and well, I'll kind of get to that. When I really first got started at Home Holistic, I met Ashley as I had just come to Kansas City and had no community. I'm from Chicago originally. We lived in St. Louis, Oregon, kind of bumped around the country, and then landed here in Kansas City, where my husband is originally from. And I had a brand new born and had kind of a crazy birth experience.
Yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about your birth experience?
I will.
Okay.
I've always been brought up in a holistic manner. And so it was just natural for me to want a home birth experience. I was born at home. My grandmother was one of the founders of La Leche League. My aunt, who had 9 children, all of her kids were born at home, and so I was just going to follow in those footsteps. So I came here to Kansas City, found a great midwife, and I was 40 weeks and 5, and middle of the night, I start feeling some labor, and contractions were 5 to 8 minutes apart. And then the sun came up, and those contractions just spread back out to 20 minutes. And that went on for 5 days. So every single night, 5 to 8 minutes apart, and they were intense. They were real contractions. And then the sun would come up, and those contractions would spread apart again. So that's called prodromal labor. And then finally, day 5 came, and I kicked into active labor. We got the tub filled up. We were super excited, and about 48 hours into that, my midwife was kind of like, okay, things are just not progressing. I was at 7 for 24 hours, and just never got past that 7. So we transferred to Research Hospital. I'd never ever once been in a hospital in my life.
Is that true?
It's true. Never. I mean, I was born at home. Never had a broken
arm. Yeah.
Nothing.
Pneumonia that needed hospitalization.
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
And everything that I'd heard about hospitals was just, trauma.
Yeah.
And so I was not excited at all. But my experience at Research was beautiful. They took great care of me. But it did end up in sort of an emergency C-section. And I really felt like my body had failed me, and it has taken a lot of processing, and this is one of the few times where I can tell this story and I don't have tears coming down my face.
I remember one of the first times that you were in class and that you told your story, and it was just really powerful for everybody, because I think so, like, birth's hard, and your birth was especially hard and especially long, and ended up with a lot of unplanned, unforeseen interventions. And I remember where you were sitting, you were straight in front of me, and just hearing your story, and we barely knew each other, but for sure I was so glad that you were surrounded by women telling that story.
And I became addicted to home holistic, and I came like 3-4 times a week, and I still do.
Now even more.
Such a beautiful community and such a healing space, and has done so much for my soul.
Yeah. So what was your postpartum experience like? Because you're in a hospital and you're recovering from major surgery.
Yeah, and I just in my mind thought, okay, baby's here, hard part is over. And I had done some postpartum planning, like my mom was coming, who is super nurturing, and she, like I said, I grew up in a holistic environment. Like, she came, she's made big batches of soup and fed me while I rested. They say 2 weeks in the bed, 2 weeks around the bed, 2 weeks in the house, and then you're good to go. So that was my plan. 6 weeks, I'll just kind of take it easy. So that was the plan anyways. And my mom was here, and because my labor was so long, like a week and a half, she had to go back to Chicago. And my husband had to go back to work. And I had no family and no friends in Kansas City, and I was completely alone. And no matter how much you've got your stuff together, it's still, you need support. You need people around you, because your number one job as a mom is to lay in bed and breastfeed and fall in love with your baby. And I did get to do that because I was blessed for the first 6 months of Kirk's life to not have to go back to work right away. So I did get lots of rest, but I didn't have a community. And
well, and even like if you're resting, but you don't have somebody helping you, and you're resting, but your partner is at work, the rest is different. Than we have some women that have come through here that their mothers come from India, and they'll stay for 5 to 6 months postpartum, and they do all the cooking, all the cleaning, so you can rest, bond, breastfeed. And can you even imagine? Can you even imagine?
I can imagine, because that's what I do now for a living.
And so Tori and I have kind of bonded with what both of us do, is because we didn't have it when we were having our baby. And I really remember Omama's was created because I wished I had a stronger community when my babies were little. And all the yoga classes, everything that we have at Home Holistic is what I dreamed of when my babies were little. And so now we have all that for you. And I believe that we have the experiences we're supposed to have, and it guides us into our true life purpose. And so, Tori, will you tell us a little bit about now what you're doing for a living?
And what you were just saying about like what you dreamed of, it was almost harder because I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't have it because everyone is so far away. I had no problem asking for help, but I had no one to ask.
I had the same. Our family isn't here. And my husband's mother's this amazing little Hispanic woman. And with all the other grandkids, she would go and help and be with the older kids and prepare food and take the kids with her. And nobody came for us. And I'm like, I'm only 100 miles away. Like, I don't live in Alaska. But nobody came for us. And now, I mean, I do just believe that that we need a neighbor, that we need somebody that's like a lifeline.
Yeah. In our culture, we are taught to like give them space, and you know, we're trying to be kind and let them have their baby time. And in our culture as women, it's also very difficult for us to ask for help. And what we need to do as women is just show up. Drop food off at the door and walk away. You know.
Come with no expectations of a thank you note or a rule of the no thank you note, and no hope for seeing the baby or holding the baby. That you're coming as a service. Yeah. So now, Tori, I remember we were here, I think we were sitting maybe on the bench out front, and she was telling me that she was going to do this training. She actually did a birth doula training thinking, will you tell this story? You tell this story. This is a better story for her to tell.
So, well, first, I had a friend that said, you need to be a doula. Well, so I've always been in the restaurant business. I ran a restaurant in St. Louis. I worked 70 hours a week. And once I had my baby, I knew that was not...
It's not even feasible.
No, I can't do that. And be a great mom at the same time. The mom that I just wanted to be with him. And so I was searching, like arms wide open. What is my calling? What am I doing? And my girlfriend told me, you need to be a doula. That's what your calling is. And I was thinking about it, and Kirk was very young, and birth is long hours and odd hours, just like the restaurant industry. And it was not really what I wanted to be doing at the time. But I signed up for the birth doula training anyways, and thought, well, I'm not going to be a birth doula. I'm going to do postpartum. And I thought that I invented the profession. And I am at the training, and I'm telling everyone that that's what I'm going to do. And I've got my own little spin on it. And they're all like, so you're going to do the postpartum training then?
I think that's so funny. She's like, you know what we need? A doula for postpartum women. They're like, yeah, you should do that.
I know. There's no original ideas anymore.
I know. Well, but what's ended up happening is a really original idea.
Yes.
And the way that you nurture women is, I think, really special and unique.
Yeah. And because food has always been in my blood and my heart, that's what my business is circled around, is restoring and nurturing the mom while she's nurturing baby through food, through proper nutrition, and feed these mamas so that they can make milk and feed their babies.
Yeah, a lot of you guys have heard my stories. You're sick of all my stories. But when I had my youngest two babies, all of Jake, so Jake's my oldest, and he is 10 years older than my youngest, all of his friends' mothers brought me food. And I had food that came for a month every other day, which was a dream. And so this was 15 and 14 years ago. I would get lasagna and brownies. 2 days later, spaghetti casserole and a bag of Caesar salad. 2 days later, honey, I just brought you a spaghetti casserole. I thought this could last for a few days. And Will would look at me with tears in his eyes like, we have to eat spaghetti casserole again. And Tori and I've talked so much about this that we as a culture actually don't even believe that our bodies can heal themselves. And we are in a time where postpartum anxiety and depression is skyrocketing. And I'll tell you why. It's because mothers don't rest enough, don't eat well. And Tori's approach to supporting women postpartum is so brilliant because she's providing the food that your postpartum body needs, that you've had an extreme amount of blood loss. Generally, you've had a lot of muscle trauma. For sure, you've got hormone imbalances. So she'll talk to you more about, well, just tell us more.
Yeah. And while you're growing this human inside of you, your digestive organs are getting all twisted and crammed, and then all of a sudden baby's out and they're all loosey-goosey and
dropped.
Completely different. You're a different human being now. And you just need to be gentle on that system. And spaghetti casserole is not going to be very gentle on your system.
Yeah.
Brownies, sugar and gluten, and they're all
sugar, gluten, dairy, sugar, gluten, dairy, sugar, gluten, dairy. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's just going to wreak havoc on your gut and your hormones. And what you really need is nurturing foods like bone broth, like think chicken noodle soup from your grandma, homemade, not from the can, and vegetables that are steamed so that they can flow through the digestive system easily. And even a fresh Caesar salad is difficult for your digestive system, especially C-section mamas that are recovering from another major surgery on top of all of the just normal birth stuff. So if I had just had a baby and called you and said, I need your help, what would you tell me? Well, I would first of all schedule an in-home interview and talk about specifically what your birth has been, because everything needs to be individualized. You are different than me, and I'm different from you. And so think of this, mamas, that if you had a vaginal natural birth and no tearing in a really supportive environment, that recovery is very different than somebody who had a vaginal natural birth with a bunch of tearing in a non-supportive environment, or a C-section, even a scheduled C-section. That those recoveries are all different. And so just because like your friend bounced back differently than you did, or your sister did, or your mother did, consider the possibility that my experience is unique, my story is unique, my baby's experience is unique, and our needs really are specific. And so we believe this as doulas, that everybody's birth is unique and they should get to be treated that way, and that what Tori's doing is really treating you that way after the baby has come also. That listening to your story, and if you've had trauma, the support that you need is really different with nutrition and with face-to-face, one-on-one support. Yeah. I can get really nerdy into Ayurveda, but I try to make it just very approachable. And
So will you explain just a tiny bit about Ayurveda?
Yeah.
People don't know.
So Ayurveda is a sister science to yoga. Yoga is healing for the body and the soul, and Ayurveda is healing through food and the soul at the same time. And there are 3 different types of people. Your dosha, Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. And I do like to kind of determine what that constitution is in you. We're all a little bit of all 3. And during pregnancy and postpartum, we're a little bit more of certain things. So we need to, like, nursing is very kapha, it's very nurturing, so we're going through some of that, but then our head is still very vata, where we're just kind of brain fog everywhere. It's using food to kind of bring those 3 constitutions together in balance for your specific constitution. But as a blanket, wide brushstroke, we're basically trying to do anti-inflammatory foods that are easy on the digestion, healing for you, packed with nutrition, so that the quality of restoring your nutrients and also in your milk, giving you enough to produce great quality milk, but also restore your body at the same time through proper nutrition.
Yeah.
Herbs and healing foods.
Isn't that amazing? I can't even imagine what it would have been like for someone to say, I'm bringing you homemade chicken soup and some bone broth. And honey, you should drink this in the morning when you get up. And it's going to give you energy, and it's going to help with your breast milk. And I can't even imagine having that information and support. Tori also came, we have a prenatal yoga teacher training, and the last section is postpartum and mommy baby. And even things like the oils you use when you're cooking can be really beneficial or actually really harmful. And the butter that you put on your toast, like, what are you using? And just being a little bit more conscious about it. You guys also are going to be able to ask Tori questions later. So just know that everybody that has postpartum questions or Ayurveda questions or things that I've got going on in my body, what should I add or take away from my diet, she'll be able to answer questions today. And you'll have her contact information also in the comments. I'll add that here just in a little bit too. So you brought some things. Will you share a little bit?
Bring some things. So I stock these titty bars, lactation bars.
I mean, what a funny name. I love it.
These are at home holistic most of the time. They are pretty labor intensive, so I try and get them done pretty often, but they're just packed full of nutrients. Think of it as a nutrient dense power bar that's easy to just grab. You can have baby in one hand and eating this thing on the other hand. It's got oatmeal, chia, maca, dates, fenugreek, turmeric, almonds, coconut, dark chocolate, a little cinnamon. That turmeric with a little bit of black pepper is going to help reduce inflammation. The oatmeal is going to help for lactation. Fenugreek is lactation, but also packing you full of calories that you really need.
So think of like my spaghetti casseroles were the opposite of this. That they were calories, but they weren't nutrient dense. So every single bite I was taking was not helping with energy. It was actually depleting my energy. That these bites of food, a nutrient dense food like spinach, like the things that are in this, all are actually being used. Is that what you would say?
Absolutely. And I make a very similar bar to this for pregnancy or just anyone who's not
like we eat them at our house. And I'm not pregnant, girls.
Right. Yeah, my husband eats them
my kids
faster than I do.
Yeah.
But those are called Strength and Vitality. And the reason that I market them towards pregnant mamas is that they're jam-packed full of dates. And dates are a uterine toner and can help with labor.
Yeah, you know, we tell all of our moms in your due time to eat 6 dates a day, and it's a little bit of an ambiguous number. My midwife, I had midwives for my babies, she told me 16, 15, 14 years ago to eat as many dates as I could during my pregnancy, and she never really explained it. She just, I mean, I'm sure she said it was uterine toning or something. What we see with moms that are really taking good care of themselves, so eating nutrient-dense food, practicing yoga, and doing things like eating dates, their labors tend to go way faster. And they also report less pain.
Yeah.
There's studies done on it.
It's amazing.
Isn't it amazing?
And just one of those little bars, there's at least 3 or 4 dates in one of them.
Yeah, so you can get it done really easily.
Yeah. And sometimes I do eat like a full bag in a day.
These are like often what we take to births also. That's what you should just be providing them for us.
You know.
Because we only have time when we're attending births to take a little bite of food, and so we need our food to be fuel. And really, like, who doesn't need their food to be fuel? So when I have these, or if these are at the studio and I'm headed to a birth, I'll like go by, grab a bag. These are so great for moms in labor because a bite just gives them the energy to keep their blood sugars level and also give them energy to work hard.
Also so great for moms in labor. I do like quart-sized jars of bone broth, just sipping warm bone broth throughout your labor. Postpartum, especially in that first week or two, helping to get that gut restored when you feel like so wonky and wobbly in your belly. And then just adding it to everything. I cook my rice with bone broth. I cook soups with bone broth. I make sauce.
I make it with my leftovers, just pour it over, like all leftovers gets bone broth.
Yeah, and all my bone broth always has medicinal herbs and a little turmeric and anything anti-inflammatory, and everything that I make is always organic and just high quality and local when possible.
Yeah. So can people buy bone broth from you?
You can always buy bone broth on my website, www.nettleandhoney.com. You can order it through there. I can deliver to Home Holistic, or I can even deliver right to your house. So through my business, I do the very traditional postpartum doula services. I'll come to your house, I'll do your dishes, wrap baby on me while mom sleeps or takes a nap, or just help with basic breastfeeding, newborn questions. But then I also like to wrap baby on me and whip up a big batch of soup. I'll take whatever's in your kitchen and plan a bunch of meals for you and do a meal prep. The bulk of my business, I would say, is making food outside of your home and then delivering it to your door. I totally get that a lot of people don't want a stranger in their home, even if it's helpful.
Well, I think, I'll tell you what I think about a stranger in your home is that then you feel like you have to host them. And it's really hard.
Even though you don't.
Yeah, you don't. Like, we don't want you to, but it's really hard to just rest or to, like, have your breasts out because they need to be out of a bra for healing new breastfed nipples. That having food just brought to you sometimes just allows you to take something off of your plate, but you know that really high quality food's coming.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's like brilliant. That's why we're sitting here. Because I think it's brilliant.
Clients will just stick a cooler on their front porch and I'll put them right in and leave. Some want me to come in and chat with them for a little while, and touch on how baby's doing, how they're doing, how their healing's doing. So I love to do a little mix of both.
Do you think that there's any things special that needs to be done for moms who delivered preemies and that have a stay in a NICU? Because as you guys know, those, like if you have a baby early and you're in the NICU, you're not getting to stay at home in bed. You're staying up all night and you're staying often on a sofa, or you're running home and back to the hospital. Is there anything different that you would do or could say about that?
You know, I would love for a client to call me and ask me to support them during that time. And I will go to the hospital. I will bring you hot food to the hospital. I'll bring you extra pillows so that you can be propped up, because you need to be supported by literal pillows. And those weeks they're hard. And you need all the support that you can get. And I would say, I mean, you need just as much, if not more, nutrition, because you're lacking in sleep even more than all those poor mamas in the first couple of weeks that are waking up every 2 to 3 hours. It's a rough time, and you need lots of support.
I think that we need so much support, and the NICU moms are generally having to eat worse food. You're eating hospital food or takeout, and that by the time the baby comes home, your baby could be 6 weeks old. And so we still need the love and support. And like she said, that you need extra pillows if you are a mom who is staying at the hospital for an extended period of time, because we have relaxin hormone 5 months postpartum. And so that is what allows our pelvis to open to be able to have a baby, but all of our soft tissues are soft. And so if we don't have the extra support, we're actually going to have extra pain than we would have had. Hi, Juana.
My business is Nettle+Honey, and we're drinking nettle infusions. Cheers. It's literally just dried nettle herbs that I picked up at Natural Grocers, steeped in hot water with a little hibiscus and a
So you do hot water, it steeps just like you would make tea.
Just like tea.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's about a cup of herbs to a quart of water.
Okay.
So it's a lot of herbs. And then it steeps overnight, and it's a jam-packed tea. And nettle, the reason I named my business after stinging nettle is it's an ancient weed that has so many beautiful qualities to it. It's an immune booster. It helps with fertility. It helps with lactation. It has a ton of chlorophyll in it.
Helps with allergies.
It does help with allergies. It helps with fatigue, anxiety, literally everything. People always ask me, and I'm like, nettle. Nettle, it's my like go-to herb for everything. It helps with so many things, especially fatigue, brain fog, which I still have.
So could you make this for someone and bring it, or?
Absolutely, because you can't make this at the hospital.
Yeah. And
I'll bring it over to you for $8.
Cheers. For a quick $8. Yeah. So before we go, is there anything else that you want to share?
I mean, I could talk for 25 hours about
So we'll do this again. This is going to be a part of our membership group that's rolling out slowly, and you guys will all be reminded and invited, and we have a long email list, and this will not normally be something that we're doing on O Mamas proper, that this will be on O Mamas at Home. Tori also, she's so good that she is the winner and named the O Mamas at Home group, and that will be a membership group, so we'll have this kind of support really regularly, about once every probably 10 days, that there'll be an interview with an expert, and Tori will be a regular guest, and then and Juana when she's not midwifing. And we just feel so lucky to have this balance that she, each one of us have something special that we're doing in doula care and working with mothers. And there's something a little bit different that we all bring. And I'm a counselor and a birth doula and a prenatal yoga teacher. And Jessica's a prenatal yoga teacher and does placentas. And now Juana is doing postpartum work, nutrition, and birth. Oh,
you just said
Juana. I'm reading Juana's name. Juana is doing midwifery, and Tori is doing the postpartum work and nutrition. And we just feel so lucky to have these women around us that make what we're doing so much better than if I was just doing this alone. So we will stay on for about 5 minutes and answer any questions live that you have. And then you'll be able to just continue with questions for either one of us throughout the rest of the day. That this will stay live and you'll be able to just visit with us.
I will add too, we were talking about NICU, and there's no way you can really plan for something like that.
Yeah.
And I would say that you can't really plan for anything postpartum, but you can have a vague plan in mind. Setting up your support, whether it's your husband, your mother, your grandma, your friend down the street, but somebody that's going to come and show up. And if that person isn't who you really want, there's postpartum doulas for that too, and we're happy to do it for you, and we're going to come with no judgment, and we can even help you while you're pregnant get this postpartum plan together. And I would say just having a postpartum doula in mind in case you really need somebody to just come now.
Yeah.
You've got that
I
number
need you
to call.
Yeah, it's so important. We really would say, like, so much of what I do is because what I wish I would have had, and that we don't get any do-overs. And what I think is so important is not the outcome of the birth or the outcome of the postpartum period, because who knows how we're going to feel. We're not probably going to feel the same as our neighbor or our mother. But with support and with information and with options, we're going to make the best decisions for ourselves. And that feels so amazing when we get information, options, and then we have support around us. That then we're making the best decision today. And we might make a really different decision with our next baby, but if we can move forward with kind of the idea of no regrets, that if I'm making the choices because I was supported and I had really good information, it's going to feel so differently than if somebody's taking those choices away from me and making the choices for me. And even if you end up with a very vastly different birth experience than what you had hoped for or planned for or worked for, even if your postpartum period is very different than you thought it would be, that when you have really good support, your healing will begin. And we just hope for that for, all mamas.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So if anybody has any questions, we just love seeing all of your faces and all your names coming up. That my face has been blocked the whole time. We can see Tori on the camera, but my face is blocked with all of your name. Who's watching, who's sending a note. Okay, well, thank you guys all for being here, and we'll stay and answer any questions that you have. If you have a question that you don't want to be in the group, then just private message Tori or private message me, and I'll get you the answers as well. Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Thanks, Tori.
Thank you.
Thanks.